Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and call our meeting to order. If y'all would stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please stay standing for the prayer.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come to you and want to thank you for this beautiful day. Lord, we ask you to guide us and direct us as we go through the greatest business at Treasure Lake. Lord, that you would help us keep focus of what we need to do, and Lord, give us the opportunity to serve the people of Treasure Lake. It is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Don. Do we have any veterans in the room with us today? If you do, please stand. We'd like to recognize you. And spouses, if you're with your veteran husbands or wives, you can stand as well. Raise your hand. All right, we'll do a roll call real quick. Don Carter?
Here.
Gary Ball? Here. Dustin Logsdon? Here. Myself, Julie Jordan. Gary Miles? Here. Lael Strait, and Tim Wells is joining us by phone. Did y'all hear that? All right. So we're going to try something new today. We're going to kind of review what we've talked about in some of our committee reports, but when we get to our new business and making motions today, we'd like to give our owners an opportunity to participate in some of the discussions. So we'll open up the mic for a couple of minutes for each discussion. If anybody has any questions or comments that you'd like to make before we make our before we put things to a vote, then you're welcome to come up and do so. All right, we have a treasurer's report with Gary.
I didn't know I was going to be first, but okay. So just some updates for you. Our total assets for July were up to $5,895,525. That's up from that was 2023. 2025 is $8,344,094. So we're up about a million, almost $1.5 million over 2023. Our cash in 2023 at the end of July was $423,379. July of 25 is $1,511,781. So up over $1 million since 23, and up over almost $900,000 since 24. Revenue for 2023 for the month was $374,000. In 24 it was $418,000. For 25, it's up to $456,000. Cost of sales in 23 was $35,700. In 24, it was $49,736, and in 2025, it was $38,756. So $11,000 less in July of 25 over 24. Expenses in 2023 for July was $430,000. For 2024 was $383,000, and for 2025 $395,000. Now the bottom line after all expenses for 2023 we were a negative $68,627. 2024 we had a positive $14,695 for the month, and this year in July we are a positive $90,556. So year to date in 2023 was a minus $274,000. In 2024 was a positive $134,000, and this year we're a positive year to date of $311,000.
Thank you, Gary. How about a manager's update?
Absolutely. Testing 1, 2. Can you hear me? Mic check 1, 2. We're good? Can you hear me? All right, I hear myself now. We're good. All right. Memberships in Vault as of 8/13, 907. That's 215 coupons sold year to date, 45 regular sales for total year to date sales of 260. So wonderful job, sales and deeds team. A big update that we have. We did receive word the IRS has reached a decision regarding the civil penalty dating back to December 31st, 2020, in the amount of $114,944.38. They have forgiven the entire balance, leaving a $0 balance due. So if you recall, we had gotten a notice that we were unaware of. There was a civil penalty because of some forms that weren't submitted in a timely fashion or missing information. We worked with attorneys, contacted the IRS, did a cap appeal, and they have returned a decision. It took a little while, but that balance has been wiped out. So we do not have to pay the IRS that outstanding $114,000.
That deserves applause.
Also, a quick update. I know if you're interested in some details about the upcoming election, please tune in to the Meet the Managers. We dive in kind of deep on that. Last week we were discussing ballots, and the election committee had decided that we were not going to accept ballots on site, but we received a lot of feedback during that last Meet the Manager meeting from people saying we want to find a way to allow somebody on Park to receive their ballot and cast a vote and drop it in a drop box here on site. It took some changing of how we had planned to do things, but we figured out a process to make that work. So this year, when ballots are mailed out, there will be a drop box at the Welcome Center, and you can pick up a nondescript ballot at the Welcome Center, fill out your information, vote, put it in an envelope, and drop it in that box that is sealed until the election count. So you will be able to vote even if your ballot gets sent to your home address. So I appreciate the election committee for kind of listening to donor feedback and making changes as necessary to ensure that anybody that wants to vote can vote. So thank you for that. And that's all the major updates that I had.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. We have a couple of committee reports we'd like to talk about. First off is the rules and regulations.
No? Maybe. I am? Okay. Well, we have 3 rules that we're going to be modifying, and that's going to be done actually in the motions that's going to be following the committee reports. The first motion, or first rule that's going to be modified is regarding guest access to the park. The second one will be in regard to pets. And the last one will be, the third one will be in regard to lighting requirements for bikes, scooters, golf carts, and anything else moving, I guess, except people, that will require forward lighting and reflective or tail lights. So that'll be provided in the motions, and we'll go into more detail on that at that time.
Thank you, Gary. Lael, do we have any long-term planning committee report updates?
I do, thank you. Last time we met in a work session, we had Lee and the other managers from our long-range planning committee come and meet with us. And really, they were just sharing their ideas on what they were doing, and they really asked for the board to do 2 things. Number 1, support them, which is a given, right? Because everything they're looking at is to improve the park. And number 2, to kind of give them permission to dream. In other words, what do we want the park to be? Not just now as we improve, but what do we want our park to be in the future? What do we want to be known for and as? So that was welcome. I think the board was all unanimous on what a great job they're doing. Since then, they have handed in a complete site audit of every site on the park with their recommendations. So think about the time and the commitment it took for this committee to measure every single site and include what it had, what it did not have, such as concrete, the slope when you pulled in, is it a pull through, is it handicapped, is it 30 or 50? Well, I mean, just anything and everything you can think of. So I just have to give a big shout out to this committee, because I can't imagine not only how they did all of that, but doing it in the weather that we've had through rain and shine and heat. So big hand to them. Great job.
Thank you, Lil. And Gary, do you have an insurance committee update?
Well, the insurance committee met once so far, and we have another meeting scheduled for September 23rd. And the first meeting, we were looking at what we are doing now on insurance requirements for vendors predominantly, and to see how that's going to be unfolding. The meeting in September is going to be for developing some of these protocols that we require and modifying them that will be going into effect the first of the year. Most of the time, vendors change over their insurance and all their other entitled little things that they do. That's generally on a calendar year basis. So it's based on the fact that it's done in January. That's when we're going to be getting in new information, new certifications on insurance and whatnot for vendors. That's when we're going to be making the implementing the necessary changes to be sure that we got all of our bases covered properly on that aspect of insurance for the park and to protect the owners.
All right, Gary, thank you. And Stephen, do you have any more updates on, or anything else you want to add on the election committee?
Not on the election committee, but I did forget one update. Big thank you to all the staff and maintenance and also some board members that jumped in to help with the storage audit. So that storage audit has taken place. We were able to use our new software, MaintainX. So we now have a list of everything that needs to be repaired in the site, and also if a camper's not meeting requirements, whether it be move, if they've got a flat tire, it's not tow ready, we're going to be able to contact those individuals to make sure that those slots are taken care of. So,
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to new business. We need a motion to approve the minutes for July 19th, July 21st, July 3rd, and July 10th. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion accordingly, as you stated.
Second.
All in favor to approve? Do I hear it all in favor down there? Anybody opposed? All right, motion passed. Thank you. Okay, this is where we open the floor up for discussion on the upcoming points here. We have looked back at the bylaws and realized that we are allowed to have a nominating committee, which is different from the election committee. So I had the authority to appoint people to a nominating committee, which I have done so, Tim, Don, and Gary. Do I hear a motion to accept those, or to accept those people for the nominating committee, or does anybody have anything to add? Dustin, any second? And we'd like to open the floor up for any discussion, also to the board. And basically what this does is, if these individuals feel that they would like to nominate somebody to be appointed, to run for the board, they can be nominated and not actually have to go through the process of getting the signatures required to be a candidate for a board member. Otherwise, if you decide to run for the board and you're not nominated, you would have to go through the process of getting signatures. I don't think that they are nominating anybody this year, but you all can comment on that. No? Normal procedure? Okay. So, all in favor of accepting the nominating committee as presented with Tim, Don, and Gary Miles? All in favor? Help me out on this one.
So are you saying that you can nominate people now instead of going through?
We can nominate people who we want to run. That just means they do not have to get the signatures. That's not going to be they'll be elected, but they can be on the ballots. Yeah, if you want to.
real quick, how this came about was the election committee was poring over the bylaws, and we were reading what would qualify somebody to sign that petition. And in there, it starts talking about, it lays out two paths to be on the ballot. Path one is 25 signatures on a petition. that's presented to the board. Path 2 is a nominating committee. And the reason that the nominating committee is being formed is it doesn't say you can, or you might, or you may. It commands the board to create this committee. It says shall nominate a nominating committee. So that nominating committee, those 3 individuals, voting members, have the ability to say, I want Jim to be on the ballot. It does not mean Jim's on the board, but he's on the ballot, okay? And that hasn't been done in at least recent history, but since it says shall, it's something that they went ahead and did to stick to those bylaws. But it really doesn't change how anybody else would normally get on the ballot. Does that make sense?
So are we even going to know that they're part of this ballot until time comes, since they're not out in the crowd saying, hey, this is why I went on? Or?
Yeah, it would be, it would be done in a committee meeting if it's my understanding just from conversation that there is no nominations this year. So the nominating committee is formed because it has to be formed, but the nominating committee isn't nominating anybody to not need those 25 signatures. Does that make sense? So everybody that wants to run for the board still has to get those 25 signatures because that nominating committee is not naming anybody just to immediately go to the ballot.
But next year they could, or next time?
Technically they could, yeah, and that's right out of the bylaws. And it doesn't say may, might, can, it says shall. But it doesn't say that the nominating committee has to nominate anybody. And since in the past that's not a practice we've done, that's not something the nominating committee is doing this year. So they're not nominating anybody.
Stephen, Gary has it pulled up in the bylaws. Is it okay if he reads that? Sure. Just because it wasn't our idea to do this. It was the voting committee that said, to make sure you follow the bylaws, we need to look at this. So we're going to let you read that.
Okay. This states that a nominating committee of not less than 3 voting members, which shall be appointed by the president, shall nominate persons whose names shall be placed on the ballot to be voted upon for election to the board of directors. The names of persons who shall submit to the board a petition signed by at least 25 other voting members in good standing, which petition is submitted to the board at least 65 days prior to the date of the annual members' meeting, shall also be placed on the ballot to be voted upon for election to the board.
So they still have to be voted on by all members?
Oh, most definitely.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, yes.
They will be at the candidate forums. They will do everything as a normal candidate would do. It just they have the power to nominate somebody.
So what you're saying is like, I don't know your name, since you've already picked him until, when does this expire?
He has to run this year.
Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is put him on, right?
He's already collected his ballots, so he's planning on running himself.
But that's what you could do, because you've already picked him as part of the committee.
No, she couldn't. The nominating
The-
committee
the-
could.
The group, right.
No.
The nominating
Whoever
committee.
the nominating committee is.
Right, which are all members of the board,
No, it's
right?
No. So it's, I think you're talking about 2 separate things. So tell me if I'm understanding. Okay, so one thing is when there's an opening on the board, we have a process set in place where people can hand in a resume and we can interview and select someone to fill that spot until that spot expires. So that's how Dustin got on. So he came and he interviewed, he was chosen, and he got a spot until October. In October, he's off unless he's voted back on. So I was...
By the owners.
Absolutely. He's gotten all of his signatures. This is really confusing, so I'm so glad that you came up to ask questions, because I had a lot of questions too. So when we read the bylaw, it makes it sound like legally we have to have a nominating committee. I'm assuming that was thrown in at some point in case nobody was running for the board and we had 3 openings. If nobody was running for the board and we have 3 openings, our job is going to be scrambling to try to find somebody to help us run, right? So I'm assuming that's why that was written that way. Would you think so too, Gary? But we've been really lucky. We have a lot of really active owners that want to be part of the board, so I don't foresee that as being necessary. But we decided to be proactive and do this to make sure we're following the bylaws.
Okay, can I ask you something? How many people petitioned for this job?
Hey, can you speak into the mic so everybody can hear your
How
question?
many people petitioned for this job that he got?
Two.
Who I think were interviewed
Two.
that I know of, that I was there.
Yeah, there were 2.
Okay, I have one other question. I need to clear this up. Are you related to Gary? You are cousins, so is that not nepotism? When they are in the same position?
We don't supervise each other. We're not employees. IRS does not count second cousins as nepotism. And I did not vote on it.
Just to make sure, we asked him not to vote.
Well, I'm not worried about him not voting, but, so you're saying now second cousins can do this just in this position and not employee positions?
Nepotism
you're
usually
saying?
comes into play with employees, where one supervises the other.
And not on the board?
So like internally, for Treasure Lake employment purposes, right? If I was somebody's second cousin, that would be an issue. Because that person supervising me can hire and fire me, can discipline me, or not discipline me. So that would be nepotism. But since they're on, they don't make any employment decisions for the other, it wouldn't be a conflict.
How would you think that would be a conflict?
Because why is it for us and not you, I guess, is why I don't understand that.
For you
We're
as
not
an
allowed,
employee?
like some of the people that were trying to get on the board last year couldn't do that because their spouses worked elsewhere in the park. Now, they're a board member and
So-
they're an employee. Tanya, when she did that, she
So a
could
board,
not do it.
so a board member is ultimately the managing part of the park, so that would be an employer relationship.
And I would be uncomfortable with that, just putting it out there, because if I had an employee, even 2 reports down, that had a board member that they were related to, it would make that a sticky situation, and somebody could say, well, they get away with something because Stephen is afraid that their boss might retaliate against them because they're related to such and such employee. It doesn't stop somebody from running from the board, but if you get elected to the board and you've got a family member that works at Treasure Lake, either you have to not take that board position or that employee has to leave employment.
Right. Very interesting. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, I believe we have a motion made by Gary. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on up. I'm sorry.
Come on up to the mic. Come on, no.
Gary Miles. Thank you. I'll say Gary Miles or Gary Ball. Thank you. All right, we do have a motion on the floor to accept the nominating committee as presented. Gary Miles made a motion, seconded by Don, I believe. All in favor of accepting the nominating committee? Aye. All opposed? All right, thank you. Motion passed. Our next discussion is on our work camper program. We all know that it's been a little bit difficult to attract new work campers in the past couple of years. We are doing what we can to make the experience, the overall experience, better and to improve the conditions and just to attract new work campers in general. So we would like to propose having a work camper program improvement committee who's going to look at all angles of the program to see what we can do to bring in more work campers in the future, to fill the positions that we have and to make the experience for all more welcoming. So we went to that committee to consist of a couple of board members, which Lael, myself and Don are going to serve on. We are also going to have a couple of work campers on the committee as well as a couple of owners. So we would like to open it up if anybody would like to volunteer to be on this, to serve on this committee. Feel free to raise your hand, come up and volunteer now, or you can also see Stephen or Amy on this. Sure. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you come up?
Can a full-time employee that is an owner, could he volunteer?
I would think so, yeah. Sure.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So do we have a motion to form this Work Camper Program Improvement Committee?
I'll
Leo?
second.
Where am I? Who seconded that? I'm sorry. Gary Ball? Gary Ball, second. I also heard Gary Ball say that. Any discussion on the topic from anybody? Board members included? Nope.
Time to speak up. We need all the information we need to get.
And this is your opportunity to tell us what would entice you if you're not a work camper, or what we can do to improve the situation.
My name's Marty.
Come on, Marty.
I used to be a work camper and still help out every now and then, but we should be treated more than just 6 or 7 months out of the year when you need us. We should be able to stay in our spots in phase 4 that we fixed up, that we spend our own money fixing up because the park doesn't have time or the money to do it. Just those little things like that, having to move your camper last year, ran off the guy that was running the cafe that made more money than it has since Susan was running. So just those little things treat us like we want to go on vacation for 2 months. We're coming back to help the park. Why can't we leave our camper there? That's our spot, that's our time, that's our money, we invested in the spot. And it's not affecting me, but I just, from other work campers, I guarantee you that would help keep work campers. Because last year, I didn't like the way Bruno was treated, to be honest, because that place made more money than it had. The last person running it was Susan, where it was making money and everybody wanted to come. So just those little, remember us in the wintertime, basically, is what I'm saying. Because we want to come back and help, but last year was not good for work campers, I don't think, and it ran a lot of people off that were good work campers, that helped in the restaurant, that helped at breakfast, that helped. Just something to think about.
Thank you, Marty.
Anybody else want to comment? Board? Okay. All right. All in favor of accepting the Work Camper Program Improvement Committee? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right. We will get that committee formed, and again, if you don't want to volunteer today, if you would like to serve on that committee, please feel free to step up and see Stephen. Otherwise, we may be reaching out and asking a couple of people to serve on that committee. The committee will determine how often to meet on that. I'd say at a minimum monthly. All right, the next one is regarding rules that Gary mentioned a few minutes ago. Do I have a motion to accept the changes to the rules? And we will discuss those. We'll discuss them in discussion.
Make that motion.
Do we have a second? All right, and Gary, would you please review those so that anybody can ask questions or?
Paperwork's got to be done. Okay, Rule 13 is one. There's 3 rules that's going to be modified. Part of 13, 15, and 17. The one on 13, but I guess we ought to take them one at a time. The rule on 13 is that guests and visitors without a gate card must enter through the front gate at the guard shack. No other way of entering the park is allowed. Does that bring up any questions to anybody? Going once? Going twice? Next one.
Checking in.
Okay, is under 15. And that is under the pets, horses, and livestock. Okay. Modifying this to say, under item C, any pet displaying aggressive behavior may be subject to removal from the club property at the discretion of the park manager. The park manager may issue a warning or impose conditions for continued presence. Repeated or severe incidents may result in removal from the property, of which may be appealed to the board of directors. That's one aspect of it. The other, there's a couple more. One that's adding to the fact that pets must be supervised while outside. In other words, if you leave them in the fenced area, you got to supervise them. And then finally, we've got a little area that says adding, well, I'll read the entire one, without the manager and or board approval, horses, livestock, and other exotic pets, that's the added part, the exotic pets, except birds, are prohibited. And that says without park manager approval. So if you have an exotic pet, you got to get Stephen to buy into it. Any questions on that?
You have to bring the pet with you. I got to see it.
In his office.
Yes, sir.
Is the part about the aggressive dog changed, or is that something brand new?
No, that's something that's changed. In other words, before it had been stating that an aggressive animal, just or dog or well, whatever, couldn't be on the park. What this does is gives the general manager the ability to decide on a case-by-case basis what the pet's future will be as far as on the park.
And a follow-up question to that would be, how would a person go about investigating if you've been given a report that the animal was aggressive one time, that there were other instances that were not reported on the card? If you have an owner who's saying, this is the first time this dog has ever done this,
Sure.
but there's other owners that it has occurred to, and the dog was unprovoked, how is the general manager going to know that?
Well, presumably, if the other individuals have made it aware, they probably would have contacted security, and there would be a note in the security log. So I would imagine what Stephen would do would be to look at the log and see if there's been other incidents or reports, and then as part of his investigation to see what he should do.
I just don't think all of those instances get reported. You know, there could be two dogs walking down the path, one is walking fine and the other one, you know, is aggressive and yanks out of the second owner's hand. And if there's no harm to them, it gets under control very quickly, then that is unreported. That's my concern. Just because I know there's been chatter recently with some aggression and past behaviors that haven't been reported.
You can only do the best you can do, and that's the way the park is going to be looking at it, and the general manager and what you want to address a little bit more on that, Stephen?
I'm not sure that the old rule wasn't a good rule, is kind of what I'm getting at. That when you have an aggressive animal on the park, is that really something that we want to continue to be on the park with small children and other animals here? Just a thought, you know.
Yeah. I can appreciate that feedback. I'm sure what you're saying happens all the time. There's an incident that's not reported, nobody knows about it, and if it's not logged and I don't know about it, I would be making a decision based on the information I have. So I would ask that if you do have an experience or you're worried about a dog, please report it. I think the change in this rule gives a little bit more latitude to me. Before it was, if somebody said, aggressive is a very, what's aggressive? If a big dog takes 3 steps towards somebody, that could look aggressive. But we also have small dogs that are, think they're 12 foot tall, being very aggressive, and we don't look at that as aggressive. So it allows me to use some judgment in the situation and say, no, this was provoked. There was somebody riding their bike with a mask on and barked at my dog, and the dog got aggressive. Well, sure, the dog got aggressive because of the situation, and that dog shouldn't be removed because of that. So it gives a little bit more latitude and fairness, in my opinion. Because before, I would have just had to say, it was acting aggressive, your dog has to leave the park.
I think that's a big responsibility, and I just want there to be something in writing to support decisions that are made. Because if there's a report of this one time, you say, okay, they've gone through everything, the dog's allowed back in the park, and then something worse happens or tragically happens to a defenseless child and whatever, then legally, I don't want to put us in that, especially when we can't get out. Any other discussions on that? Gary, I want to go back on the rule on the guests, on the wording of that.
Yes,
You had mentioned all guests and visitors who have a gate card, who, without a gate card, must enter at the front. We want to say they must check in at the front gate and must be escorted from there.
okay.
Thank you.
And on the dog situation, this is exactly why we don't need a dog park. That's just my opinion.
Thank you.
All right, motions
Okay,
on the,
we'll add that to that regarding check-in for guests to be escorted.
Thank you.
So that would basically essentially mean that when a guest comes to the front gate to be entered, allow entrance into the park, that the owner would need to come.
Owner needs to
and
be-
come up and get them and vouch for them to come onto the park.
and that basically prevents somebody from coming in and saying, hey, I'm going to go see Dawn, and Dawn's not on, on site or anything. That prevents that from happening, so.
Okay. Will
All
do.
right.
And then one more item.
Uh-huh.
And that's under 17. It's all golf carts, bicycles, scooters, and other motorized vehicles operated within the park between dusk and dawn must be equipped with functioning front lighting to provide for illumination and rear lighting / reflectors to provide visibility to others. Lights must be turned on during operation at these times for safety. I don't know how many times I've encountered a situation where somebody's got comes out and granted, that's one of the reasons why we have 10-mile-an-hour speed limits. But if you can't see them, you can't see them. So they've got to have lighting, and we've got to be able to see them forward and rear. Any discussion on that? Going once? Going twice? Okay, ready to vote.
Okay, motions on the floor. Do we have all members in favor of accepting the rules as proposed?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, motion passed. And to add to the safety discussion, we just want to encourage all parents who have young children on the park to please remind them of watching when they cross the streets and, riding their bicycles in the middle of the streets and just being very aware of their surroundings. I mean, we, as owners, I know, try to be very cautious when driving and looking out for those children, but sometimes they dart out and We just want to prevent those accidents from happening. So please have those discussions with your kids, and remember that all young children need to be supervised by their parents. All right, our final motion here. We had a big discussion on some new work camper software finally. We know that ours has been in existence for many, many years, and we couldn't even come up with a date of how long that has been. But we had a nice presentation from New Book Company, and several of our staff, our managers, have actually been through the demonstrations of that software and feel that it is something that is really going to benefit our park going forward. As far as, well, actually, I'm going to let Stephen talk about the benefits of the program. I mean, there's so many things that it's going to do for us. So I'll let him do that, and then we'll make the motion.
So I've talked about this in Meet the Manager meetings. We've been looking at softwares for the past few months. It started by contacting other campgrounds that are similar to us from across the U.S. and saying, what software do you use? What issues do you have? We landed on 4 to try out. We then sent them a spec sheet. Here's all the things that we have to do. And that spec sheet was developed by going around to our staff that are frontline workers on the system, saying what works well with campground, what doesn't, what are things you can't live without that campground does do, and what can we do better. And we developed a list of must-haves, would like to have, nice to have, don't have to have, and submitted this to all 4 companies. One of them, just based on that spec sheet, was a clear winner. And I've discussed this in the Meet the Manager quite a bit. It's got tons of new features and availability for Treasure Lake, not only to do what it's currently doing, but also expand its services. So everything from communication with our owners and guests, depending on whether or not they're a guest or an owner, to streamlining the check-in process and making it quicker. So it won't take 35 clicks anymore to check somebody in, and it should speed that process up. I know those that are working at Michael was involved in that, Stacy was involved in that, IT, myself, Amy, Glenn, security, a couple people from the security team, and it's going to encompass several kind of standalone systems that we used to have into one system. It is an additional cost. Campground costs us $100 every single month, every single year. This software is going to cost us every month, but you get what you pay for. And those that have sat through this software know that it's going to make jobs easier, the customer experience better, the owner experience better, and it's time that we move forward now so that we can make that implementation target time of January 1st, and that's when we would like to roll this out, is January 1. So.
Thank you. Everybody we've heard from seems very excited to be getting new software to boot, so I think it will be a great improvement. Do we have a motion to give the general manager the authority to enter into a contract for web-based software to replace campground software not to exceed $1,500 per month?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second? Okay, do we have any further discussion? You have discussion? No, you're all for it? All right, board members, any further discussion? All right, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor of accepting the motion to give Stephen the authority to enter into the contract? Say aye. Anybody opposed? All right, motion passed. Stephen, please proceed. We look forward to seeing the wonders of new books in our near future. All right, I think that concludes our new business as well. Do we have a motion to adjourn our meeting today?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Don? Gary Miles was a first, and Don a second. All in favor of adjourning for the day?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, that concludes our meeting today, but we would like to open up the mics for any questions or discussions. Please come forward.
I have a question on the members that are going to be trying to get on the board. And I need to know I know of a couple of them that have been removed from the board by you guys. And I want to know, are they going to be allowed to, if they want to run, are they going to be allowed to run?
Anybody is allowed to run for the board.
Can I touch on the approval process real quick for that? The election committee are the ones that are reviewing the packets, verifying the signatures, and then placing them on the ballot. So the board has removed themselves from the election process entirely this year.
Okay, so if you have removed someone from this board due to something they did wrong and you felt they didn't deserve to be on this board, you're saying that they could still go out and get their signatures and get back on that? vote?
There's currently no rule that would prevent somebody from running from the board even if they were kicked off.
That's very interesting. I don't see it in the bylaws. Yeah.
We can't make up a rule right in the middle of election time either, so
Yeah, no.
that's the other thing
No.
about it. Hopefully, maybe the next board can
Yeah,
come up
that's
with
not to
a
say we
decision.
can't make a rule that says that cannot happen, but we felt that would be unfair to do that in the middle of an election period.
So it's something we could bring up after this, after all right, that's a good idea. Oh, that's a good idea. They're gonna wait until after the election, then we can bring it back up, and they can decide that later for the next election. So who all is gonna be off the board this time?
We have 3 positions that will be open.
Okay.
Dusty is terming out, Lael is terming out, and so is Gary Ball.
Okay. All right, I'm good.
But I do have.
We've already had this conversation.
Yeah. I have one statement to make, and it seems weird. I've probably been to 1,000 meetings in my life. This is coming from the heart,
Yeah, I can tell.
but I have never seen any meetings as long as I've been here. Everybody agrees with every decision. I have not seen one dissension on any decisions made by our board. And that don't mean the one that makes the dissension's wrong, but sure seems weird that no dissensions. Everybody agrees.
There's actually been votes since I've been here that have not all agreed.
In here,
In here.
everybody I've seen has agreed.
And we don't always agree at the beginning, but usually when we talk it through, we try to come to a consensus, but we don't always agree at the beginning.
Most
Maybe
most
even-
recently, the budget didn't have unanimous approval.
That's all right.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that from my experience being to every single meeting, I've seen not everybody agree in this meeting, and there's been dissension in this meeting, which I think to your point can be healthy. It's okay. We will now hear from the floor.
And that's part of the reason that we are changing the way we're changing the way we're doing when we make a motion to have input from the owners and, listen to it. So it may be that an owner comes up with a different view of a motion that we made, and maybe changes our mind right in the middle of it. That could happen, open it up to the owners like we are.
All right, do we have any other questions or comments? Going once? Stephen, do you have a joke? That's usually held for your manager's updates, but
Told one joke in a manager update, and I'll start bringing them. I promise. Next week, I'll bring a joke.
All right. Well, we appreciate you all taking time to join us today, and hope you
Julie?
enjoy the rest.
Oh, Julie?
Let me ask a question.
Sure.
What does everybody think about this new format about trying to give an opportunity for input before we actually do the vote?
Great.
Thumbs up. All right. Well, go enjoy the rest of your weekend and
Do
stay-
what?
Thank you for what you guys do. There's a lot more to it than what people think.
Thank you, Marty.
Marty, thank you very much.
Go out there and stay cool, go swimming, check on your neighbors, and have fun.